He's Tim.
And he's Sam.
And this is Cinematators.
That's right. And tonight we're doing 4 of our favorite scenes from the rom-com classic from the 80s.
When Harry Met Sally.
I'll have what she's having. Getting hot and bothered. This is my favorite.
I'm glad Rob Reiner's mom didn't do it that way with her delivery. You know that was her, right? I'll just let you finish.
Too late.
I like this scene because it's balanced. You know, it's like you get both takes on this, the male point of view and the female point of view, and they both seem to be even with their points.
What are you talking about? It's like male bravado.
It's male bravado, and then a woman being defensive about that, you know, because she's offended by it.
Yeah, because one of us, you're attacking all of us.
Yeah.
That all men are sure it never happens to them, and most women at one time or another have done it, so you do the math.
You don't think that I could tell a difference?
Oh.
He's like, what is happening right now?
Oh.
You okay?
Oh, God.
All right. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You could see right where he shifts from, I'm concerned about you, to, oh, I see where you're going with this. Okay.
God. Oh, yeah, right there. Oh.
And this guy with the Yankees cap behind her.
Who wouldn't turn around? I'd be like, what the hell is going on?
And at this point, it starts to get too much. It's like, okay.
Yes. Oh, God. Oh.
I'll have what she's having.
Classic. It's funny that Rob Reiner gave that line to his mom. What was his mom thinking? Like, what kind of movie are you making, son?
Yeah, I remember him saying like it was definitely weird trying to direct his mom with that going on.
That's one that goes down the history books as, you know, an all-time classic scene. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know that scene.
So that's the question. Does the movie hold on its own without that scene? Or is that scene that makes the movie, that makes it iconic, that makes it classic? I mean, everyone talks about that. She has fakes the orgasm inside the restaurant and the lady says, I'll have what she's having.
I feel like that scene and it's like iconic resonance throughout the years, how everybody's seen that clip. I don't think that is what makes this movie great, because I just love the setup of them interviewing other couples throughout the entire movie and how that works, that dynamic. That was, to me, that was kind of like, you could have gone with a straight up just telling the story, but you do these little inserts of these different couples throughout the years and with all their different stories, and then you end on Sally and Harry with their story at the end, wrapping up basically. And I'm like, I think that right there made this above where the movie should have been. If it were just a straight up romantic comedy, I think that elevates it to a different level. It's creative in that aspect, and it's really become a classic, not just because of that one scene, but that one scene is what is the flagpole that's held up for this movie.
Yeah, it's the Boulder and Raiders.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that scene. I got kids. We watch Bluey, and they literally ask the dad, hey, could we pretend to have the boulder down the hallway? And the dad goes, do you mean Raiders? And they're like, yeah, we want to play that game. And he's like, okay. So what I like about this scene, they realize that they're starting to catch feelings for each other. And because they're dancing and turning, you get to see their face realize it.
Instead of using camera movements, they use the blocking.
Yes, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's why we make such a good team.
That's true. That's when we dance like this, Sam. That's why I did. Yeah. So then you can see he was kind of leaning too much into it, which now she's wondering what's going on.
Yeah, she's starting to be like,
what she's feeling.
Am I? And then he's starting to think. And right there, that was close.
Want to get some air?
And then they got to shut it down because neither one of them are ready for that right now.
Right. When they're turning and the one person's face will be behind the other one's head, that's where you get your transition. You go from, you see the phases of what they're thinking. It's like, at this frame, everything's normal. They're just two friends dancing. Then he goes behind her head and you see her starting to think about it. And then when he comes back around into view, now he's starting to think about it. And it's almost like it was edited, but it wasn't even edited. It was just done through the blocking. You have cuts, but they're not really cuts. I like this shot because they're sitting around the table. You get the gist of both these conversations. Now we cut to their conversation. You can still hear the other one going on in the background, but in this one now this is the foreground
People in blindfolds.
with the people in blindfolds. I don't even think they knew what they were going to say there. It was just, I feel like that was just improv. That diss right there when he's like,
Oh.
he's only the reason I became a writer. That's all. It's like right there you see there's no chemistry.
Well, especially
And
all
then-
this. You can cut the
and then-
tension like with a knife.
You and
Oh
Marie
yeah.
are from
And then
New
this
Jersey.
part
South Orange.
Haddonfield.
Oh.
and scene. That's all the chemistry they could
So,
muster
what
up
are we
at that
gonna
moment. They're definitely not
I'm gonna
interested in
start
each other,
with
but you can see who does
Not
have the
only does she eat
chemistry.
the best thing on the menu, but she orders it in a way that even the chef didn't know how good it could be.
I think restaurants have become too important.
Restaurants are to people in the 80s what theater was to people in the 60s.
I wrote that.
I love
There
that.
you go.
No, I did. I wrote that.
That's amazing. Don't you think it's amazing? And you wrote it? Get over
Meg Ryan and
yourself.
Billy Crystal, their
did.
reactions are just
Where
like,
can I read that?
okay.
New York Magazine.
Sally writes for New York Magazine.
You know, that piece had a
I don't know if much about
That's
writing,
just-
but it's
yeah,
so
and that seemed really genuine too. Just
that articulate.
it spoke to you,
Has ever
and that
quoted
that
me back
I
in the
I like that. And you could tell both Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal are looking at them like, yeah, there's the chemistry.
Oh,
I agree with you. I love that opening camera movement,
Mhm.
and I love the transition with the audio
Yeah,
because you don't
It-
hear Harry and Carrie Fisher until you start wrapping around to them. But the funny thing is that
Exactly.
you don't see them in focus, even though you can hear them more. It's just an interesting audio transition.
it's
Like,
basically the dichotomy of the scene we were talking about earlier with the movement being from the blocking as opposed to
Yeah.
the camera movement. This is the exact opposite. This is doing that shift, but this one with the camera movement around the stationary thing, and it just really shows you the both sides of the two conversations, and it's genius filmmaking.
that awkwardness perfectly. You can cut the tension with a knife. Just sitting and watching it, you're like, oh, this isn't going well. And then I do really like Harry's overall progression because in the beginning of the movie, he's such an a-hole. And watching Sally order the way she orders, and I think he even makes fun of it.
Yeah.
Now he's like, oh, listen to her order. She orders it so great. The chef didn't know it can even be better. It's those little nuances that will drive you crazy. But with someone you love, you're like, oh, it's adorable. I love that about them.
Yeah,
That's something that's them, and
those
I love
little
that.
quirks are starting to become the things that he likes most about her, when at first it was like, those are the things that really annoy me and I hate you because of that.
Both of them are starting to open and grow. He's starting not to be such a jerk, and she's starting to not be so tight.
Yeah.
She earlier would never have faked the orgasm in a restaurant ever. That person would never have done that with him just to prove a point. Where now, how close they are and how that she's getting a little more looser, especially around him, she can do that. It's not unthinkable that she would do that. So good job building the tension with the
I
cuts.
gotta go.
What are you doing for New Year's? Are you going to the Tyler's party? Because I don't have a date. And if you don't have a date, we always said that if neither
I
one
love
of us
this.
had a date, we could be together for New Year's.
I can't do this anymore. I am not your consolation prize.
Mm,
Goodbye.
yes. Yes. I love it.
So what do you love about that?
It was great for her to call him out.
Oh yeah,
Finally
yeah.
call him out. He obviously just wants to keep doing what they're doing because it's what he knows, and he really is making her his consolation prize. That's his. He can always go back to her. She is his safety net, and she's like, "I'm done with that. We're not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
And that was such a great line. It was a beautiful line. Like it just hit the nail on its head. I'm not a consolation prize.
I love the choice that they stayed on him for his reaction after she hangs up, where he's just still like, because you could see that he was trying to make an effort at that point, but it was a little too late, and he's just kind of regretting that at that moment. And you just see him absorbing that, just taking that all in, that I think I screwed up a little bit here.
All right, Sam, that was When Harry Met Sally. What are we thinking?
I generally watch this movie every year around New Year's because it just makes me feel warm inside. I really identify with the idea of being broken up with. And that's something I can really identify with. I've been there more often than being in a relationship. I don't know how that's possible. Mathematically, that doesn't
Well,
work out, but
Don't you have to
I
be in a
understand that.
relationship in order to be broken up with?
You would think so, wouldn't you? But somehow
Were people
I
dating you that
defy
you
the
didn't know they were
odds.
dating you?
I relate to this movie just because of that whole struggle of, trying to have a relationship and having it break up and working through the tough times and embracing the good times. So when
Yeah.
it comes to that last speech where he says, when you find the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. I love that. That gets me.
This is the first time I ever sat down and watched this movie. Not gonna lie, in the beginning, I didn't really like Billy Crystal's character because he was such a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
And they did a really good job of him turning around. I think what's funny is I wasn't liking this movie watching it. Then, as we were talking about it, recording this, I started to like it better. Started like more and more. Because then I started, I don't know, just when we were talking about certain scenes and certain elements of what they did, I just was like, okay, maybe I do like this movie more than I thought. It was almost a reversal.
Start to appreciate it more. The transitions, the dialogue back and forth, the way it's shot. Sometimes it's camera movement, sometimes it's blocking. That unique scene of the four-way call, basically.
That was cool.
Which that setup was just like, if they didn't have the I'll have what she's having scene, that could easily be the standout scene. The end speech could have been, that's the iconic speech of it. Well, for Cinematators, he's Tim.
And he's Sam.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, and please hit that notification bell so you get notified every time a new episode comes out, which comes out on Mondays. Movie Mondays. And please let us know in the comments below what are some of your favorite scenes from When Harry Met Sally. And if you would like to purchase When Harry Met Sally, please go to the description below and you will find a link to purchase it. Cool.
So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we love you and keep on dancing.
Except for, why is the guy's name Jess? I never got that.
Jess?
Weird. Yeah.
As in Jesse?
So why can't it just be Jesse?
Well, because it's short for Jesse. And as we saw in the one scene in the restaurant, apparently Billy Crystal's character didn't want Jesse's girl. Yeah, I went there. Did you expect anything better from me?
No. At least I have something for the ending.